It's Murphy, Sam, and Jody after the show, so we're not going to gross each other out, are we?
No, but
Watch this.
We're talking about real life. It started with the conversation about my cousin Candace and her daughter Hope, who has a G tube and a button where she gets food, where she gets fed, her feeding tube, and how whenever she comes to spend time with us, when she goes to feed Hope every 3 to 4 hours, when possible, I go in there and sit as well for the time to visit with Candace and to watch. I kind of want to learn, and so does her sister. Her sister Crystal wants to also learn, just so that we could be of more help to her. Mm-hmm. As Hope gets older. Hope is 12 years old and is continuing to grow, and it's just a big ordeal.
So what happened this time? For the first time, something made you squeamish.
While she was feeding Hope, and before she actually started putting the stuff in the tube, she said, this time I'm going to take the button out. And she pulled the button out, and I was like, oh.
Well, you take the button out to clean. It's a port, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's...
But I didn't know how they worked. It's fascinating how they work. So she was showing me and Phoebe and Addison, her cousin, too. It's like all girls in the room to give Hope the privacy that she needs. But there's a balloon that gets... Okay, so there's a little balloon. She had to deflate the balloon, pull water out of it with I don't know what you call that, syringe like. She had to pull water out of it to deflate the balloon so she could pull the button out easily. Mm-hmm. And then she cleans things up. She lets the little incision area or whatever get a little air. And so she cleans it and she fills it back up with a certain measured amount of water. Well, she doesn't fill it back up yet. When the tube goes back in, when the button thing goes back in, there's a side area where Candace can then put new water in the balloon. So the balloon went down uninflated, back down into her stomach. And Candace put the water in, and the balloon inflated in her stomach,
which keeps it from
coming out. Yeah. And from what I understand, it's a new design. It's a better design because the other balloon used to be smaller. And Hope, who is very strong and doesn't know what she's doing, when she used to pull her own button out, and that's a mess, So it's a better design that she's got now, and it was just incredible. Number one, this medical technology is incredible.
Oh, it is.
It's unbelievable. Like my immediate thought was, Murphy, you got to come see this. But wait, this is a private thing. I wanted to tell you about it immediately. Sure. But just also incredible that Candace can do this right now and has been doing this for years without it making her squeamish at all. And then I got squeamish.
Yeah, well, I think you adapt to. Once you get used to something, you're used to it. Think about,
for my daughter, I could do it.
Dialysis patients who now, ports have become a regular part of their lives. For comfort as much as anything, because it used to be on dialysis, you were stuck every single time with needles, and now you have ports that are put in, and you got to protect and clean and care for those, and it's. I guess anything like that, I think it's natural. You got to
do what you got to do.
It's instinctive to be a little squeamish about that because that's sort of like what do they call that? The reptilian brain, the part of you that just kind of reacts. It's danger. It's like it's
fight or flight.
Because it's supposed to indicate that something's wrong or that you're injured or something like that. I think that's that part of your brain. So the logical part of your mind when you get used to that, or people who, anybody that I've ever known who's become a doctor or a surgeon or a nurse seems to not only be able to handle all that, they actually like it.
Yeah,
they enjoy surgeries. To me. I'm fine with some parts of it. When it gets into the blood part, that's where I kind of
I saw no blood.
Whenever they have those shows like on Discovery with all the operating or life, it's like
Well, I think surgeons and doctors have the benefit and the luxury of knowing exactly how everything works.
Sure.
Because if somebody's taken off a Band-Aid, hey, check out what happened to me, and it's like this really deep cut or something, I don't want to see that.
No, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, but if I were a doctor, I'd be looking at it and I'd say, okay, well, here's what's happening here, here's what's wrong, and it completely separates my head from you.
Yeah,
gross.
That makes sense. I mean, that really does. It's the way the mechanic looks at a vehicle. You're not just putting gas in it and taking off.
Right.
It's all the inner workings if you start to ask a mechanic about a car. So you're probably right, Bailey. Yeah. It's the same thing with doctors and nurses or anybody else.
Have you ever seen anybody pop something back into place that's a joint or dislocated?
Yeah, I can't deal. But what's funny is that used to happen to me when I was a kid and I played basketball. My shoulder, you don't know this, Murphy. Oh my gosh, I never told you this, but my shoulder would do that when I would go up playing defense or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would pop out.
And who put it back?
Me.
Oh.
I was not letting anybody else touch me.
See, that makes me squeamish talking about that.
It only happened a few times, and then I didn't play anymore. I played junior high and high school. That's what I played. 3 years, 2 years in junior high, and maybe 2.5 in high school.
No
before I quit.
WNBA?
No, before I quit.
Yeah.
But it's just, it was just, I've seen people do it. That's not as big of a deal to me because I experienced it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk around with my arm like this. I had to pop it back.
I had the one time playing basketball with Will and Sammy when they were little, and I did that with Will, trying to be jokey dad. He was going up for a shot, and I was like, slam and block. And when I did, he caught the ball, and the ball hit his finger and pushed on the knuckle, pushed it out of socket. So it was sitting there out of socket.
Hurts.
And I don't like it. It's like
Squeamish.
but it's like I've always heard just pop it back into place. And so I grabbed his thumb his finger while he was sitting there, pulled it, and you could feel it pop back into place.
Yeah,
now, we still had to take him to the doctor because it wound up swelling. But at least it was back into place.
You did what you had to do.
Yeah, that was not like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh no. It was like, do it for your son or else.
It's adrenaline.
Yeah.
Your adrenaline kicks
right,
in, and
yeah.
being a parent will, especially in those moments, if you have to overthink it, you can't.
Yeah.
But you got in the moment, you did what you needed to do. Plus, you caused it, so you kind of had to.
Yeah, it's like, oh my, his mom's going to get me for this one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's Squeamish that you got Murphy when you grabbed our dog Ashley's collar and she ran the other way and your finger broke and I heard it and then we heard all the curse words.
Yeah.
From the dog or Murphy?
Well, when that actually did make me squeamish.
You got squeamish yourself.
It was weird when it happens to you. Yeah, that's not the same thing as it happening to your kid.
No.
Where you focus and you take care of business. We've done that before with stitches and everything else. But when it was my own finger, which is, by the way, the only time I've ever, knock on wood, had a broken bone like that, I think it was the combination of everything. It was the sound, it was the feeling, it was the pain, which was unbelievable, and then the fact that clearly my finger was not right. So I had to go to the doctor.
You did get squeamish, but the funniest part of that story, for anyone who's never heard it, is that Murphy is Mr. Security and has video cameras outside. And the reason we were going back and forth is because we were going to eat, I'll never forget, fajitas outside. And I was bringing stuff. We were going back and forth with, here comes the salsa, here comes all the fixins. The girls are already outside. Murphy is trying to wrangle dogs, meaning dogs go in because we're going to eat outside and you're going to go in while we eat. And I was in the kitchen area. The door is open and you try to grab her and she runs the other direction and your finger is stuck underneath the collar.
Yeah.
Lesson, don't stick your, especially a dog that's about to run away, don't stick one finger. Like you were trying to get her with one finger.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to get her with one finger. It was I was trying to grab her collar, but she moved fast.
And it was one finger got
just
stuck.
caught my one finger.
Okay. Yeah. Well, either way, as soon as it happened, I heard a pop. And then I heard you make all these words. And
I pretty much listed every word that the girls should not have said at that moment in time in their lives.
And so
you have this on video?
We had it because literally later when we got home after going to the doctor and getting your finger wrapped or whatever, I was like, you want to go watch it? And you're like, yeah, I want to watch it. So we
I didn't even remember that. I didn't even think about that.
And so we watched
There's no sound with it. It's just a video.
But as soon as it happens and the dog and you can see him hurt, you can see the girls go, by what he said.
I don't know. I don't think it was the pain. I think
Phoebe's
it was the words.
face was like, the big round mouth and the hands going over the mouth. Yeah.
Now, didn't they put a pin in your finger?
Well, yeah, they had because they had to adjust it. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Now, if you're squeamish, don't listen here. Because the story about when they took the pin out of your finger.
Oh yeah,
right.
But see, they were really smart about the way they did that.
Yeah,
he didn't tell me. And he was right. You weren't going to feel anything. And he's like, well, let me just take a look at it. And he pulled it out at the moment. He's like saying, let me take a look. So there was no anticipation. There was no nothing. And it actually did not hurt.
Yeah.
It hurts me now.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if you really want to explain this, but how was the pin in your finger?
Well, I mean, and I've got pictures of it if you really want to see it. It's the ring finger, which is now tilted back a little bit. I don't know after it healed, but the pins were just basically coming out the side to hold the bone in place so that it would heal up.
Heal correctly.
And so I think I had 6 weeks of the pins in there.
He had a big thing on his hand. Bailey, we have pictures of it. He had this big wrapped thing. His hand looked like, was it Squidward?
Yeah, Squidward. Everybody thought I was holding a Squidward puppet.
It was really funny.
It was just, gauze and a really big thing on my finger.
Anyway, going back to Precious Hope and her G-tube and the button and all that, I don't know if that will change for her in time. Of course, there's hope with the right sort of therapies that she could ever be taught to eat by mouth. I know that is Candace's dream for her family, for her daughter. But there's also a lot of other stuff going on with her. She has a chromosome disorder, which just means it's not like she has too few or too many. Her chromosomes were switched, as I understand it. And so there's a lot that there's not known about her condition. For instance, the eating thing, they have offered her everything, thinking, oh, maybe she'd love the taste of this. They have offered her. Most of it she wants nothing to do with in her mouth, food. But they'll give her a lemon. When we're at a restaurant, they'll give her a lemon, and she will put that to her mouth, and she will mess with that and never make the lemon face. So they know for a fact her taste buds are off.
Oh.
She can lick that thing and never make the lemon face. Babies make the lemon face.
Yeah.
So she does not detect sour like we do. If it's something really, really strong, she doesn't even react to it when brought to her mouth. So there's so many obstacles for her to get her to eat. So will she maybe always eat with a tube? It's possible. So it's crazy. And it really is that whole, I always think of Candace and every special needs mom or dad, when you read that, there's a statement, people ask me how I do it. And the answer is, I wasn't given a choice. She's not given a choice.
Yeah.
She has to do it. And she's not squeamish about any of it. Thank goodness about feeding Hope. So my goal is to not be squeamish about helping her.
I think you'll get there.
I think I will too. I hope so.
I don't want to lessen the incredible amount of effort that it takes to feed Hope, but I would say it would be kind of nice to not have to cook every once in a while.
Well,
and just feed yourself through a tube. It would be kind of cool.
I guess I never thought of it that way because it is such an ordeal.
Yeah.
It is such an ordeal, and it never ends.
Yeah.
And the stuff leaks sometimes, and so the laundry is triple what you do for a normal 12-year-old girl.
Got you.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she would take cooking any day over it. And plus she has a son too, an older son. So she has to cook for him.
So can you pop your socket on?
No, not in years.
I wanted to see it pop back into place.
My shoulder?
Yeah,
no
she's
way.
never popped her shoulder since I've known her.
And I won't be doing it for you, Sam.